Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm about to show you is in the fallout of the police officer in New York who was killed by the two felons who had guns magically in a gun control state, who had been arrested 14 times for one of them, 21 times for the other, still killed this cop. Yeah, this is what the left is going to do to solve the problem. And then I'm going to give you a little ray of hope that is even happening in New York. This is one you're going to want to see. Everything will be linked in the description box below. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on if you are ready to patch up this freedom experiment and hand it to the next generation good as new. All right, brothers and sisters, listen. I lost my ish today. I'm going to be honest, because the consequences of the policies of the left around gun control and justice are causing real-world implications, real-world consequences, and are causing pain to people in order to justify their, look how good I am, look at my emotional ideals, look how amazingly awesome my litmus test is. Politics over people, that's what's happening. But don't worry, guys. New York has a plan for the subway systems and all the gun violence, which can't happen inside a gun control state or a sensitive place, which ironically is happening. Okay, so far we've gotten police in the precincts and the subway systems increase their presence. We've got National Guard from Hochul going in, still not doing anything. Then you got this little gem I'm about to show you that Mayor Adams just recommended on the day after a police officer was shot. New York will test gun-detecting technologies in subway system, mayor says. In wake of a deadly attack in the system earlier this week, New York officials are searching for ways to make subway riders feel safer. You could start by putting criminals in jail and keeping them there. The two criminals, the two felons who killed the cop, had 14 arrests and 21 arrests with 10 years of actual jail time, and both of the felons had violence on their records. And they were out. This is not difficult. But don't worry. We're not only going to put scanners in place in certain key locations for pilot programs, they also cost 12 times as much as normal metal scanners. Oh, I know. Let's keep going. Tell me you are a high-spend, high-tax leftist without telling me you are. All right, check this out. Mayor Eric Adams on Thursday announced that New York City planned to test technology to detect guns in its subway system, which the law says you can't have them there, and the law said and promised that it wouldn't have them there, yet now you got to have this, including New York National Guard. Planned to test the technology to detect guns in the subway system, and officials seek to make transit riders feel safer in the deadly attack aftermath. Yeah, well, listen to this. Tell me you're an ineffectual, overbloated government. The technology pilot, which would not begin for several months, the problem is now, would roll out in a few stations, Mr. Adams said at a news conference, and would help provide a sense of security among transit riders who have been unnerved recently by several high-profile acts of violence. Okay, we're gonna set up camp on this one. Get your tent. It's gonna be great. We're gonna have bonfires. Bring the marshmallows. First of all, you are doing a few select locations several months from now. I wasn't kidding earlier when I said these things are 12 times the expense of a normal metal detector. So you could do 12 times more machines for the same amount of money, but let's not get crazy, right? And then the other little piece that I just can't help but address, the gun controllers have told us and beaten it into our heads, left, right, and center, that if you put metal detectors in schools to prevent shootings, you're creating a prison. No one would feel safer. No one would feel better. It is a terrible idea. The only solution that we have is to take all guns from Americans across the board. We cannot harden our schools. That would make them feel bad for a place of learning. Oh, subways? Yeah, let's spend 12x the amount of money and divide the entire amount that we could spread out to all the areas and the subway stations by 12. And then we're also going to wait 8 months. Oh, Lord. Let's continue. Because the company's called Evolve, by the way. Evolve's devices look like the metal detectors often found at courthouses and baseball stadiums. The company says that the devices are programmed with the signatures of certain items, which allows them to detect weapons. Random acts of violence play on the psyche of New York, Mr. Adams said. We are going to evolve in any way to ensure that technology becomes part of the public safety apparatus. Again, but not in schools, because that would make kids feel ungood. Guys, at a certain point, you just have to look at it and say, what are you willing to sacrifice for your political ideals? Because genuinely, when you bend over this hard to say no hardening of schools, and then the second subways come into play in New York City, you're all about the newest highfalutin metal detectors, only you want to spend $125,000 for them rather than $10,000 like a standard metal detector, so you can get a tenth of the effectiveness and add in extra months. Guys, you can't. Let's go. Nikita Ermolev, a researcher with the Pennsylvania-based surveillance industry, noted the high cost of the devices. Leasing a single unit can run around $125,000 over a 4-year contract, he said. By comparison, conventional metal detectors can typically be purchased outright for less than $10,000. Okay, so you're going to do a 4-year lease for $125,000 for a single unit, or you're going to spend $10,000 at the moment with no leasing, no financing, no terms, no nothing, and you own it. Yeah, let's go ahead and take 2 of the single units, and we'll pay for it over a 4-year plan. We'll put it in 2 stations, and we'll put it in there in several months. I'm feeling confident. But let's continue, because there actually is a ray of hope out here on these streets of New York. Again, what are the odds of this happening? Long Island official wants to deputize residents with gun licenses during emergencies. Must be a different Long Island, because that's crazy talk in New York. It's almost like common sense is starting to make a comeback. A Long Island County official is putting out a call to all licensed gun owners looking to deputize armed residents and allowing them to respond during emergencies. Doesn't that seem kind of like common sense? Just contrasting. It was an advertisement in Newsday earlier in March that prompted questions, stating that Nassau County was looking for citizens to fill provisional special deputy sheriff positions. County Executive Bruce Blakeman said the deputy sheriffs wouldn't have any authority unless a state emergency had been declared. Okay. So on one end, you have the New York liberals controlling the city, failing miserably for gun control, bringing in metal detectors that are 10 to 12x the cost, deploying them in a tenth of the locations they could for the same amount of money for $10,000 units. And then on the other side, in the Long Island area, you've got people who are deputizing special civilians who have guns. How's that happening in the same state, much less that close to each other? They would not be doing any patrolling. They would be protecting infrastructure, the county executive said. There are several job requirements listed, including being between 21 and 72, have a pistol license, and pass a background check. Those with law enforcement or military experience were encouraged to apply. And here is where I tie the entire thing together. This is just crazy talk. You spent years on the left telling us, on the gun right side of the aisle, that hardening schools with metal detectors and putting police or deputies or specialized deputies in place would be a terrible idea because they couldn't learn. The subway comes under attack, and all of a sudden it's deploy the National Guard, put more police in there, get the New York City police chiefs on there to talk to students or talk to riders, get metal detectors in there because we want them to feel safe. Where are your priorities? So why can't you just go, hey, let's put metal detectors in schools. Hey, let's put the special deputy idea if you're 21 to 72 and you have a background check, you have a gun license, and you have all of the background required to do what we're going to do to harden our schools and protect our children. Why don't we do that? A little bit of subway on kids kind of action. Because the fact that no one is even looking at this shows you where the priorities lie. Because if you really felt like you needed to solve the problem, like they feel like they need to solve the problem in the subway, they would do the exact same thing to our schools nationally. They would have funding for that in minutes. Chris Murphy has already destroyed it in Congress. And he's Mr. Gun Control in the Senate. I wonder what the strings are. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll see you on the next one.